stink.
I think you're gonna have a good Christmas, all right?
You smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
Okay.
Hey guys! Happy July!
Happy Christmas in July. Merry Christmas in July.
Hello! Merry Christmas!
Hi. Happy Hanukkah.
Just kidding, it's July.
Yeah, it's Christmas in July because we missed the date for Christmas. But we had a Christmas special planned, and rather than just do this upcoming Christmas, we were going to do it now because that's like a whole year away.
Yeah, we decided to celebrate the holiday that is known all around the world as Christmas in July. We would let you know.
It's a celebration of all things Christmas, which is Coca-Cola and red suits and big white beards and anything sponsored by the Coca-Cola company, really.
Yeah. We're going to give you an official ranking of some of our favorite and least favorite Christmas movies if you feel like you want a little bit of Christmas spirit right now and are not sure what to watch to bring it in. We pretty much hit, I feel like, a lot of the Christmas classics.
Yeah, and if you're curious how we're going to be doing the ranking, we'll be doing it like how we did the Halloween episode, where we average our two ratings. So sometimes we'll agree on ratings, other times one of us might have a drastically different opinion, hence why the film's average might be weird on the list. But you'll have to stay tuned to see how this pans out. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah, that was really good.
Thanks.
That was good. I don't know, I can't do that.
Speaking of people that can't do good Santa Claus's voices, Bad Santa.
This is not only one of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen, but probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. If you are somebody who hates Christmas, wants nothing to do with Christmas, and is just here for the horrible bad vibes, you might actually enjoy this movie. But if you're a normal human being who wants to sit down and watch a Christmas movie because you want some kind of fun, joyful Christmas spirit in this, you're gonna be so sad by the end of this.
Yeah, and it's even as someone who's like a little bit of a Grinch themselves, the character isn't really redeemable.
At all.
They're like gross mostly and like kind of sad. It's like, oh yeah, he's drunk because he's depressed and suicidal. But unlike BoJack, he doesn't really redeem anything. He's not funny. He's not witty. He's not likable. He's just... The only thing that's kind of fun is that Lorelai Gilmore is, like, turned on by the idea of Santa Claus. Yeah. And that's, like the trauma behind that is kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, there's...
It's, like, it's funny in a sad way, which I do appreciate. So I gave it 1.5, but it's a terrible movie.
I would have given this literally 0 bags if I could, but... We did sit down and watch the whole movie, and people made it, so for that, I give it half of a bag.
It's just everything. It's just
Billy
a bad
Bob
movie.
Thornton should never play any version of Santa Claus, and for a little bit of context, I guess we should say, he's like a mall Santa Claus. Like, he's a guy that dresses up as Santa Claus, goes to malls, and then, like, robs them. But he's even, like, bad at doing that because, like, he's an alcoholic, and, if you're wondering if he has any sort of character arc, he simply does not. He's just the same kind of asshole character the entire time. There's like a cute little kid, and then you realize that his whole story is like extremely depressing, and if you're wondering if he gets any kind of happy ending, I don't even think he does.
Nope, they just I think he ends up robbing them.
Yeah, like, basically,
like no character
you
grows
think Billy Bob
the story.
Thornton's Santa is, like, gonna become a father figure, but then you realize he's not even, like, really qualified at all to be a father figure to this poor boy who really needs, like, an actual caring person in his life, and he's just not gonna get that. Mm-hmm. The only funny moments are, like, when he thinks Billy Bob Thornton is Santa, like, actually. But that's about it. So, yeah, really starting off with some horrible vibes.
Yeah.
You got anything else to add, or should we move on?
No, I gave it 1.5.
Okay.
And you give it half, so it averaged 1.
Great.
Next up, we have 8 Crazy Nights. It's an Adam Sandler classic musical.
This isn't a Christmas movie, guys. It's a Hanukkah movie.
And it's a classic. It's got all the things you could ever want in a Hanukkah movie. A lot of Christmas depictions, stereotypes. songs. But Adam Sandler, and there was a plot about him hating Hanukkah. So
it's kind of giving.
It's kind of like Bad Santa.
It's kind of giving Bad Santa, except like I find him a little bit more redeemable because
he at least has the like.
He has like a
backstory. Can you do his voice? The other voice, the annoying one, Whitey's voice, because
that's a technical foul.
If you want to scratch my balls, that's a technical foul.
Yeah, Adam Sandler not only plays himself basically in this movie. I mean, they give him a different name, but it's just Adam Sandler. He also plays multiple other characters, including
most notably Whitey.
Yeah,
who just is like doing that screechy voice every line of dialogue, and the whole movie is like about that character. And
yeah, it's if you are someone who's sensitive to annoying voices, I mean, it's Adam Sandler. I feel like we don't have to warn you, but we're warning you anyways.
It's like maybe more annoying than the Hubie Halloween voice.
Actually, it might be. But at the end of the day, we rated it higher than Bad Santa because...
Yeah, I give it 1.5. It was like still fun.
Yeah, I give it 2 bags.
The worst thing about it, honestly, wasn't the voice. It wasn't the Adam Sandler. It wasn't even the plot. It was the gratuitous like poop jokes.
Yeah.
There was like a lot of disgusting humor with like deer pooping and like kids like firing snot all out of their nose and down their mouths and into their food. It's just gross.
Yeah, there's a couple really gross out moments that
like, why do the animators
again,
do that? It's terrible.
It's an Adam Sandler film, so you get what you go into it for. Yes, there's full-on musical numbers, which are fun. I kind of always like a little bit of music in my Christmas movies, but it's the Adam Sandler of it all is can be overwhelming at times.
For sure. So next up, we got Christmas with the Kranks.
We need to talk about Christmas with the Kranks.
Yeah, I kind of...
You are all lying. Everyone
I hate
is
this
lying.
movie. This movie's terrible.
So this was my first time ever watching this movie, and I've always wanted to watch it because it's always on the lists of like most like top 10 best Christmas movies. Like,
it's
you
terrible.
gotta watch it. Who is making these lists and why are you lying to me?
It's like the whole plot of the movie is that they just don't want to celebrate Christmas, and so they're gonna like go out of town for the week.
They are not celebrating Christmas in order to save that money and use it on a vacation.
Yeah, but isn't the vacation like during Christmas?
Yeah, but then they don't even go on the vacation because then their daughter comes back and they're like, oh my god, she has to have Christmas. And so like they spend the first half of the movie like refusing to do anything Christmas related.
And like the whole town is like a strange cult that's like obsessed with Christmas, where they're like, hey, we don't tolerate any Jewish people in our neighborhood.
No, literally imagine being Jewish in that neighborhood.
I know. The whole film feels like a missed allegory for like
Judaism.
Yeah, and it's terrible. But anyway, they like the cult like town eventually like, all right, fine. You just go be miserable in your own little house and ruin it for everyone walking down your street.
Yeah, no, but they're just trying to be nice people. They're like, hey, we'll put up your Christmas decorations that you already have in your basement. Just like leave them out and we'll put them up for you. And they're like, no, we can't even do that because we're not for what reason? Like, because that doesn't cost money. You already have it.
Yeah, I think they were making a statement that they're skipping Christmas.
Such a weird thing.
And again, it's also supposed to be like a metaphor for like midlife crisis, because like their daughter is leaving and they're like doing Christmas alone for the first time. So then rather than do Christmas, they're just gonna like avoid the issue. But then if you thought, okay, maybe there'll be some character growth and they'll still realize they miss her on their vacation, they don't actually take the vacation. The daughter ends up coming back and saying, hey, let's do Christmas. I'm really excited to do Christmas.
So then it kind of like erases the first half of the movie, and then it's like, oh my god, they have to get all of the Christmas decorations up now.
And they were like, a race to do it. And it's like, oh,
it's like a full 180. It's like two separate problems
it's just
that both could have been solved.
It's the longest 99 minutes I've ever spent on a Christmas movie.
I really wanted to like this one, but unfortunately, it just, like, I don't know what it was. It just didn't hit the marks for me.
This movie sucks on ice, bro. I gave it a half bag.
Yeah, it didn't, and I think part of it also is that, like, I didn't find a lot of the humor. I don't know if you felt this too. Like, I didn't find a lot of the humor in it funny.
Yeah, the humor was very slapstick, but it was very much, like, none of it landed. How many bags?
I gave it 3 bags because it was like pretty middle of the road for me, but it really didn't do anything like super special, and I probably won't be revisiting this one next Christmas season.
Yeah, I gave it a half bag because this was like terrible.
You were really not a fan of this one.
It just was. I hated the whole concept of it. It's a movie that wastes your time.
Yeah.
But it's like none of it's fun.
Tim Allen should just stick to Santa Claus.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Tim Allen either.
We'll get there. We'll get
there. We'll get there. For now, we need to talk about Jack Frost.
We need to talk about Jack Frost.
Jack Frost, it's got everyone's favorite Michael Keaton. Now, if you don't know soft and cuddly like Michael Keaton, then I don't think you do.
What?
I truth be told, there's not another person I would have cast in this movie, but also I feel like this movie is terribly cast, if that makes any sense. You need
just for so you guys get the full picture. Yes, Michael Keaton is the titular Jack Frost. Meaning that his name, like just his character name is Jack Frost, and also meaning that when his character dies, he is revived as the snowman Jack Frost.
Yeah, because of course naturally he dies. It's not a Michael Keaton movie without little Beetlejuice moment.
Yeah, honestly, he does die a lot in his movies. Oh
And
my
so,
God.
like...
I always forget that he's Beetlejuice. That's crazy.
Yeah. Again, not a very cuddly, soft person. It's again...
I mean, does the snowman look very cuddly and soft to you?
No.
If this snowman, if I saw him,
it's
I would run away.
It's a very uncanny, creepy, gross CGI snowman.
Yeah, it's
And
of the times.
The
from
practical
1998.
plastic of it all just looks terrible.
It does look really bad, but I will say it has sort of like a of its time look to it that I do appreciate.
It does have a certain charm, yeah.
Yeah. It's honestly terrifying, and I don't know like how children watch this movie growing up and like we're not scared. And also just like so the movie is kind of sad. Like it's just this kid being like, my dad's dead, and now this snowman is here, and like
He's my
dad, but like
And
he's
all the people don't believe him because
yeah.
he's going through grief. And
Yeah,
he's a
they're just
child.
like, you're
And
sad
it's like,
because your dad died.
you know what's better for Christmas time? A nice slow movie about losing a close loved one.
Yeah, no,
Like-
literally. It's not even like supposed to be taken seriously though. Like he's like sad, and then like the next scene they're like snowboarding down this big raft, like running away from his
it's
bullies.
a movie for kids. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like there's no
that snowboarding scene is
tonal
like
awareness.
18 minutes long
It's
too.
so long.
There's so much time spent with the snowboarding scene.
It goes on. We literally like
It's
I
like
had
watching
to look.
someone play a video game of someone snowboarding. It just keeps going.
It does. They just keep going, and I'm like, I
but
can't.
hey, you know what they say? Christmas snow dad is better than no dad, so 2 bags.
I just thought it was kind of creepy in my review because, like, we were talking about the visual style is.
But you agreed 2 bags. I
Yeah,
mean, it's not the
we can't
worst
rate it
movie.
any higher than that. And I don't really know who I would recommend to watch this, but I think it's one of those movies that you could have fun with. We talk about movies on this podcast all
You
the
could
time.
have fun
where,
with
like,
this one.
You hang out with your friends. You maybe get a little.
Personally, I think the whole like immediate concept of death and losing a parent is like depressing.
Oh,
but,
absolutely.
Like, you know, if you can get past that, you could definitely have fun with this one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
2 bags.
2 bags, yeah.
Next, we have one that we are completely divided on.
Yeah, actually, we have very polar opposite opinions. Get it like snow, like polar.
Ooh, like the Polar Express.
We didn't watch
We
that
didn't
this
watch
year.
the Polar Express this year.
We
which
did watch Love Actually,
We did.
and I think I hated this movie, man.
This is a Christmas classic to me. I'm actually a really big fan of Love Actually, and I feel like I should not be shamed for saying that.
Okay. I feel stupid for not liking this because everyone loves this movie.
I
okay?
think I will say this, like, there
just-
are people that are like die-hard fans of this movie, and I do think that like this movie is not without like its like criticisms, or like I have criticisms of this movie. It's not a perfect movie for me, but it's one that I always think of when I think about like sitting down and watching a Christmas movie. And when I do, I'm always I enjoy the story of it.
My whole thing is that it's kind of like I'm bad with names. So if you just say like, oh, Steve was hanging out with Nancy and then Drew came by to talk
There's
about
a
Gordon.
lot of characters in this
it's
movie.
like I'm going to be confused. I'm like, wait, so Steve was with Gordon? And this movie kind of just feels like a random ass like sitcom that you've never seen before. And you're just like,
It's
wait,
watching
who's
Modern
this?
Family for the first time.
Kind of, yeah, but without any of the explanation where they talk to the camera bits. And you're just like, it's the jump cut abruptness between the like stories is so intrusive and bothering, and none of it blends. That's like honestly my biggest offender is that there's like no motivation. There's no dialogue quirks where someone says like, oh, I have an idea. And then it cuts to a different story of someone being like, here's why. Like, there's no smart cutting. It's just random abrupt jump cuts between stories.
I know
and
what
that
you're
I
saying,
thought was
yeah.
terrible.
'Cause
Like,
there's
even
a
the
lot of-
Simpsons episode where they tell stories in Springfield of just like random episodes between characters. There's even some motivation between the transitions. Like, a fire engine will be going to a house that's on fire, and you follow that fire engine stopping along the kid walking along the sidewalk, and now you're with that kid. Like, there's some motivation to that. This just has nothing.
There's a lot of different plot lines in this film, a lot, and I think like they do at the end, like they have like
they have a
Christmas
motivation. There is a justification at the end of the movie, right? They have that Christmas
pageant. But I was
pageant.
gonna say not every single character at the Christmas pageant, and then like afterwards when they're like at the airport, you still don't even get like every character there.
Yeah.
So, and like there's a lot of things that like everything gets resolved, but they don't like resolve together, if that
It's
makes
like
sense.
it's just hard for me to be like take this movie seriously when it's like doing things like, oh, grandma's dying on Christmas with like, I'm gonna go to America and a bunch of American girls because they like my accent. And it's like,
Yeah,
and then there's supposed to be like a love story going on between like a person in political power with his like secretary, and
we
it's
need
like
to talk about the fact that Billy Bob Thornton plays the president of the United States in this movie. Mr. Bad Santa himself. What are you doing here?
yeah, and it just
But beyond that, insanely stacked cast. Like,
yeah, the casting is
insane.
crazy, but it's like, again, I don't watch movies for cast. I watch it more for like the enjoyment, and it was just very confusing for a first watch.
Oh,
As the
yeah.
first time sitting down and watching this movie, it was just very much like, what's going on? Oh, we're here now. Okay.
There's a lot
Oh, we're
of
here
different
now,
plots.
and it just it's like I'm fine doing that if there's like some grace or like pace motivation to it, but it just sort of felt like a person who has like ADHD telling a story.
I think yeah, like I think one or two plots for me personally. I think Colin Firth's plot could have been, love Colin Firth to death. His plot could have been probably erased, and also Laura Linney's plot could have been erased from this.
I don't even remember Mr. Bean in this movie.
Exactly.
Like, why is his plot in this? They could have erased that.
Yeah. The Emma Thompson plot, I feel like everybody, you love to hate it because it's so sad, but it's,
I thought the Martin Freeman plot was also pointless.
there's quite a few plots I think that could have been trimmed down, but at the end of the day, I kind of like, it's kind of like a big jumble of like everyone's going through different
And
things.
again,
around Christmas
I get
time,
the
and
idea.
Love actually
Is
all
everywhere.
around.
I get it. Okay, I get it. But it's like, please don't hammer to me to death, bro. I just am trying to live here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that good. It's like, I get it.
One of my biggest problems with this movie, beyond any of that, is just the sheer amount of fat-phobic comments in this film that are just like brushed off or played off as a joke, specifically towards the main character, Natalie. It's truly insane to see that like 2000s fat phobia really come to light in this film, and I'm truly shocked every time that I watch it and I remember just how many jokes there are about people being overweight, which I just like don't necessarily think has any need to be in my Christmas movie. So yeah, do better.
I agree. So I gave it one bag because honestly, I think it's really overhyped. and I needed to make a stand against it.
I give it 4 bags again. Like
But that's
it's
why
always
it's
going to
this
be a
low on the
Christmas
list
classic to me.
because
Our reviews kind of clashed, and we ended up with a median review of 2.5. It's a Christmas classic to me. I won't be shamed.
next is Office Christmas Party. I just wrote a 1-word review of this movie. I wrote forgettable. 2.5 bags.
Yeah, I also gave it 2.5 bags. It wrote in my review that I wish this was funnier, and I think that does really stand because this movie has such a good concept for what it is, but like the
plot of this movie. Let's talk about the plot of this movie. The plot of this movie is that they're in a company that's getting shut down by like a vengeful sister who inherited more power over her brother, who's like was the co-CEO but is now getting kind of pushed out by the sister,
Miss Jennifer Aniston.
and so they're deciding they're gonna make a big sale to stay alive as a branch, by convincing someone to like give them money by showing them a great Christmas at their Christmas party. And so they throw an off-the-rails Christmas party, and then Jennifer Aniston's like, hey, that's bad.
Yeah, but I think, like, concept-wise, that it's not a horrible
fine.
concept,
Yeah.
but just the way that it's played out, it's very one note.
It's very one note.
It's very much just like, we're in office throwing an off-the-rails Christmas party, and things are gonna get crazy in this office setting.
Now, what I should say is that I forgot about this movie so hard that I actually forgot about the name of this movie, and I thought this was The Night Before, which we ended up watching because I thought it was this, and that was a much better movie, which will appear later on the list. So, in a way, this brought about that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that's as much praise as I have to say towards it.
Jason Bateman does it again. I think
Yep.
Jason Bateman does the thing that Jason Bateman does.
And TJ Miller, if you're a TJ Miller head, you know.
Yeah, Olivia Munn. Oh, girl. But yeah, it's definitely a movie. We're getting up to the point on the list where, like, 2.5 bags is pretty much just, like, very middle of the road. Like, I would
Yeah.
have this on in the background while I was, like, putting
Yeah,
up my
this came
Christmas
out on
decorations.
TV. I wouldn't change
Yeah.
it, but it's
Yeah.
like
That's about it. I wouldn't.
that's the most I would interact with it.
I wouldn't put it on.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Next up on the list, we have
Surviving Christmas.
now Surviving Christmas is actually a really different Christmas movie. If you're looking for something that's not like everything else on this list, this one was kind of different, you know.
If you like Ben Affleck and James Gandolfini,
I do love James Gandolfini.
Mr. Tony Soprano himself,
He's from Jersey.
my Jersey King.
I actually don't know if the actor's from Jersey.
I always thought he was because of
This
what he
movie is basically like if Nathan
said.
Fielder
Yeah, he was born in Westwood.
wanted to celebrate Christmas. This movie is about a rich guy, Ben Affleck, and he goes back to his childhood home, and he's like, "Oh, I miss being a kid." And then he like the family inside the house that he his childhood home that currently live there, hit him upside the head with a hammer, and he's like, "Hey, can I spend Christmas with you guys?" And he gives them like a ton
He
of money
basically just rents
to be
them
like-
out. Like, he basically hires them
to be
to
like,
be his family.
yeah.
It's the level of how far it goes just honestly starts to get a little bit silly, because it's like, not only is he just like, he's not just like, hey, can I stay in your house? He's like, can you be my mom? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then,
but
he gets
starts,
a grandpa.
He starts like having a thing for his would-be sister.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But they're not.
They're not actually, but it's just even more weird. Like, this guy is kind of crazy, but it's kind of a fun movie. So
It's actually really fun, and I think it's a good take on like the whole like, what do you do if you're alone for Christmas, found family kind of side of the holiday.
I feel like this movie was made without a script, though.
Yeah, I think we did learn that
Like,
there was no
the dialogue
finished script or something like that.
They didn't have the finished script when making this movie, so everything was like improv, like dialogue. Like, I think they knew the scene and knew what was happening, but they didn't know verbatim
see
what they
that.
were gonna say.
And I think, thank God, they got like some great
But
actors on that set.
You can
to,
see
like,
it in
pull off.
Gandolfini's performance. He's very much like just angry with everyone the whole time, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I would be too. So yeah, 2.5 bags. I survived it.
I gave it 3 bags. Actually, like it was fun.
It was fun. It was kind of forgettable, but it
a
was
decently
fun.
nuanced take, but it's not doing anything too special,
Yeah.
But it is a Christmas movie. I feel like it hits the notes of like what you might want out of your Christmas movie.
Yeah, my biggest criticism was that there wasn't anything like major happening. Like there wasn't any like
The love
guys
plot.
in tights or like a Thanos snap or anything.
Oh, little Avengers reference.
And speaking of men in tights,
Speaking of
superheroes, next up is Jingle All The Way.
I thought you were doing like a Captain America thing. What a film!
What a film. I remember watching this as a kid and thinking this was a Christmas classic, only to then grow up finding out no one watched this. This was a weird movie because it's all about like a dad who's just like having like the worst Christmas ever, trying to get a gift for his kid that his kid really, really wants. The
This
classic
movie-
story, like the store being sold out of the doll.
There's never been a movie with one plot like that sticks so much to one singular plot than this movie.
That's the whole plot, yeah. Like, because like the movie just keeps escalating that. Like the store sold out, and then he's fighting with the dad over the last one, and then they're like entering a competition to get the giveaway, and then he's in jail, and then they're like
He goes to
at a
jail?
parade. I thought he did
Oh.
briefly.
I would believe it.
I
'Cause
could be
he's
totally, like-
fighting people left and right. I
And
can
then there
totally
was
see it.
like a
We should say
moment where they're
the
like at a
main
parade,
character, by the way,
and
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if we mentioned that. It's Arnold.
yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is his dad. This was like sort of his '90s comedy era, sort of right after Kindergarten Cop. And,
Yeah. I mean, he's so Arnold in it. It's hard not to have fun with it, but it's also like the plot is he wants to get his son the toy.
And it's just so weird that 70% of this movie is about that toy. Like, it's so focused on that toy. Like, the parade is for that toy. The, like, store is themed after that toy.
yeah,
Like,
70% I feel like is even low. Like I feel like it's all
it's
about
all,
the
like,
toy.
it's the toy's even in the poster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just kind of fun. I give it 3.
Yeah, I give it 2.5 bags. I thought it was fine. I don't really have much to say about it because it's very one note, but like it's kind of nice to like go into it being like, this is the problem. Obviously, spoiler alert, it gets solved. I want to talk about also real quick the naming of this movie because Jingle All The Way is such a random.
I don't think they ever say it.
They don't because it's just like a random snippet of obviously the song Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells, Jingle All The Way. And like I guess the assumption is that he's jingling all the way to get the toy, but like it's a very random naming choice for this movie. Like I honestly forgot, like it almost makes the movie itself forgettable because like the name is so random. Anyways,
Yeah, so average was 2.75.
next, Merry Friggin' Christmas.
Another one with a really random title.
Well, this one is like a little bit better because it's like Merry Christmas, Merry Friggin' Christmas.
So it's like we
I
got
don't
it.
like when
Someone...
movies are friggin' is just like the worst. Like it gives me the ick to use that word. Like I think if you're gonna do it, commit. I guess you can't really name movies like the full F-bomb.
South
but-
Park would.
Yeah, I guess like I understand there's probably a rule against it, but like friggin', like really.
Yeah. This movie sucks.
This movie's fun. This is honestly sort of a similar vibe to Jingle All The Way.
No, I thought this was a similar vibe to like Bad Santa.
Well, like the whole thing is like he goes to visit his dad and then he like forgets to bring his kid's present. So he like is like, I'm gonna leave right now.
Well, no,
Go
no.
back to my house, get the present, and come back before Christmas.
First off, we should mention his
should
dad, Robin Williams, is like
Yeah.
hates Christmas and like didn't give him Christmas growing up. So now as a grown up, he's obsessive about Christmas, and his kid has to have like always a perfect Christmas. And so
Which
his
is
dad,
a very big trope in these movies, as you will see.
yeah. So I kind of like that. There's some like trauma behind that, but it's Robin Williams doesn't really grow in any sense. They just sort of end up ruining. Or like Christmas is about the family.
Yeah. So you get Robin Williams playing Joel McHale's alcoholic,
Depressed.
abusive mean-spirited dad. He doesn't like Christmas, so therefore Joel McHale is gonna love Christmas. You know how that works. And there's a little bit of a conflict there, and then they have to spend a bunch of time together driving to get his son's Christmas present, right?
Yeah.
And
That's
I don't know what to tell you.
That's like the movie. It's I wasn't crazy about it. I only gave it 3. It was like fine. Mostly because Robin Williams smokes a cigar, and I was like, oh, look at him go.
Yeah, I gave it 3 bags. I think with a movie called Merry Friggin' Christmas, it's kind of like you know what you're getting yourself into, but I still really wanted a little bit more than this, than just like a very basic plot.
Next
Santa
up
Claus 2.
is the Santa Claus 2. This movie's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you saw the Santa Claus 1, you're like, oh,
Which
that
we
was
will talk about.
We'll talk about that next, because apparently this movie's worse. I kind of think they're the same, but
Yeah, actually,
this movie is I think is a little definitely crazier than the first one, because Santa Claus 1, okay, he gets the suit, he gets, he's become Santa. This movie, it's sort of like he's been Santa for a while. He's been doing Santa good. His kid is really proud of the fact that he's Santa, but his kid's starting to mature, and now he's a rebel, and he's like spray painting the gym cafeteria, and so he's kind of being a bad dad since he's been Santa, since he's like missing his kid.
yeah, there's like but there's so many plots
So he then makes a robot Santa to replace him at the North Pole. While he's gone helping his kid, and it actually turns out right before he leaves, it turns out he's no longer going to be able to be Santa unless he gets a Mrs. Claus soon, because apparently Santa can't be a bachelor, folks. All right, if Santa's walking around without a ring on that finger, he's
not real Santa.
Yeah, well, that's kind of imagine a single man coming into your house at night while you're sleeping. That's not comfortable. Married man, he's not gonna. He's got someone back home. He's not gonna do anything.
True. I do think it's weird that like they just decided for this, like, I understand
it was the small
plot-wise,
print.
He needed a wife, but like it's been a few years of him being Santa. Like they don't really explain.
They
like,
just
why
know,
does
like,
he like
they
Santa
say-
gets to be single for like 5 years and then
because he has to get married while he's Santa apparently, but like
I don't know. But anyways, he ends up falling in love with his son's teacher.
Oh, and also they introduce all the other like mythical elements, like the Easter Bunny and like Cupid and the Sandman, and they have like a whole like Mother Earth and like
there's
a lot of
going
lore
from the
that's
first
introduced.
movie, there is so much more introduced in this film. It's honestly
It's setting up for Santa Claus 3. Let's be real.
and we didn't watch Santa Claus 3.
We won't watch Santa Claus 3, but this one I remember I watched it once when I was a kid and I was like, oh, that was fine. But it's so crazy. There's a lot going on, and basically he ends up marrying the principal that was like really harsh on his kid, and she's like, oh, I love Santa Claus, kind of like a Lorelai Gilmore thing from Bad Santa, and then they beat the robot Santa who goes crazy with power.
The robot Santa is so uncanny
it's
looking.
so creepy and terrifying.
It's so weird. It honestly, I was uncomfortable any time it was on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the little elf guys at the North Pole, they have a lot more random stuff that they're doing. I really couldn't tell you what they're doing, but like I think they like fight with some other like Nutcracker guys, and like they got plot. There's plot.
And then they saved the day.
This is
I
like
gave
the
it 3
ADHD
bags.
version of Santa Claus 1. It's like Santa Claus 1, they were like, this is the plot. Santa Claus 2, they're like, now we can really go crazy.
Yeah.
This I thought
We both
Santa
gave
Claus-
it 3
yeah, we both
bags.
gave it 3.
It was very much like, okay.
Now let's talk about the OG Santa Claus.
I actually gave the OG Santa Claus 2.5.
And I gave it 4. And I was actually shocked at my own review of this movie because I don't know what I was feeling on this rewatch, but I was just like, you know what?
You love
This is a good movie. It has a plot that's pretty straightforward, but there's still a decent amount of like different conflicts going on. He's now Santa Claus thing, but he's also got like this whole plot with his son and his ex-wife and Judge Reinhold. It's just who is Judge Reinhold. I'm just saying that. as his
Somewhat.
name.
Now you said the robot Santa was uncanny, but like this movie had some terrible computer generated graphics.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
The
I mean, it's
movie-
very much 1994. Sort of like what we talked about with Jack Frost. Movies kind of this time.
This had none of that charm though to me. This was just like vomit on a screen. But
Oh.
I'm not trying to be too harsh. It was like a fine movie, but this is definitely one of those. It was like very one note to me. It's like, oh, he's the Santa Claus.
It is.
It's like Evan Almighty. Or
It is kind of like Evan Almighty. Danny Gonzalez has a whole video on this movie where he talks about how crazy it is that, like, when Santa Claus dies, like, you, like, have to put on his suit and then, like, you just become Santa Claus and, like,
that
what
implies
that
a
has
lot
to
of
do.
lore.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore. Like,
'Cause, like,
what if you kill Santa Claus?
What
to
if you snipe
become
him?
Santa Claus? Because
Yeah.
anyone, like, is it, like, just a free-for-all? Like, whoever puts on the suit? You know what I mean?
imagine it's kind of like Fortnite with the Thanos glove.
Oh, a grimace shake in Fortnite. Yeah, so there's a lot of...
It's like a free for all. People are just out there. It's a bloodbath when Snooze gets out.
And the movie doesn't really explain it. The movie's
Because
just like
Santa
Santa
Claus isn't
fell off the
immortal
roof and now
unless
he's
he
not.
dies. So he's
Yeah.
like an Islander or Beowulf type of thing.
But like one fall off of a... Like, you're telling me
Yeah,
that man
he's
has
like-
never fallen off a roof before?
that man, he's just a man. He just has regular bones, but he won't die of old age at least.
Yeah. So yeah.
I gave it 2.5 because I thought this was like okay. It was a little bit less okay than Santa Claus 2. Honestly.
I rated it 4 bags. I must have been in a good mood.
You
when I
must have
watched
really
it.
enjoyed it. But
I feel
either
like
way,
it
average.
really cemented itself for me personally as like a real Christmas.
The average
classic.
put it just higher above Santa Claus 2.
That's
so,
true. It did.
You know.
Now we've got Deck the Halls.
Deck the Halls, I actually enjoyed a lot more.
I feel like
than
we're getting
Santa
into the
Claus one.
category of movies I would actually put on.
Yeah, now we're starting to get into like the fun or Christmas movies. Deck the Halls is fun. It's got Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito, and they're like neighbors.
They have such great rapport.
Matthew Broderick and his family is very much like the perfect photo perfect
Yeah.
Christmas. They always do the Christmas card and the matching sweaters and ba. Meanwhile, Danny DeVito moves across the street and he's like, I want my house to be seen from space.
Yeah, that's basically the plot of this movie. Is that
he just
he
gets he
gets
hears
this
this
idea in his
conversation
head.
from like a random passerby.
No, I think it's like his
his
kids.
kid. Yeah, his kid says it briefly in
They're like,
passing.
you can't see our house from space. And
He's
he's
like-
like, bet? And then he just like puts a bunch of lights on their
His kid's
house.
just looking at Google Earth like, where's our house? I can't see it. And he's like, oh, I'll change that.
And it's just fun. And I think the reason that I think that this movie is so fun is because they're both coming at each other from the angle of like genuine love and joy for Christmas. But just Danny DeVito's character
Is it a bit
is
insane?
yeah, which
And it's
only
sorta-
Danny DeVito could.
Yeah, it's kind of written to be like, oh, that neighbor that just moves in who's like hella obnoxious.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like you're too polite to really do anything
Yeah.
about it.
But then Matthew Broderick, I mean, he does.
But he like
sort of
goes
start
crazy
going, yeah.
trying to like stop it, and it's amazing.
Because
it's a fun time.
The one thing I will say, like, the amount of lights on that house is truly crazy. Could have done more.
They could have done.
They could have done more. I don't know
kinda
if they
wish
ran
this-
out of light budget or what, but like,
yeah, I feel like they just didn't want to like actually disturb the people's
Oh,
houses
absolutely.
near them.
Yeah.
when they were shooting.
Yeah, no.
Because it was like they got.
It
to
was pretty. Like,
It was pretty crazy,
if
but they could have done more.
he was my neighbor, I probably.
I totally agree with
Yeah.
you on that, but I gave it 3.5. I had a lot of fun.
I
with
also
this.
gave it 3.5. I thought it was really fun. I think it's fun that it's called Deck the Halls because they're like decorating their house, and also their last name is the Halls.
Yeah, Danny DeVito's.
So it's like Matthew Broderick kind of wants to deck the halls. If you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that name, and I think you like that usage of the Christmas lingo was pretty genius. And
pretty fun movie.
I mean, no one does it better than Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick. I
Yeah,
can't.
they're a really good pairing. I love my guy Danny. He's maybe in my top 5 favorite actors.
Danny is great in this, and kind of I feel like this is underrated. No one really talks about it.
I
Do you
agree.
feel the same way?
This
Like,
movie's hella underrated.
nobody really
Many people
talks
hate
about
on
it.
it, and I think it's kind of slept on.
Yeah, no, the average Letterboxd rating being a 2.3 is kind of making me sad because like I thought this was really fun.
I thought this was better than Jack Frost personally.
Yeah, no, it made it all the way up the list.
No, I mean the average Letterboxd rating.
Oh, yeah.
This one's rated lower than Jack
It's
Frost.
crazy.
But hey, maybe watch them both and let us know how you
Yeah,
feel.
make your own opinions. But we liked deck the halls. Anyways, moving on to The Night Before.
Now, The Night Before, I thought was what office Christmas party
I
tried
want
to
to know
be.
how you got those confused, though, because, like, they're not...
They're similar.
The similar ideas, like, it's
They're
like,
similar. They're similar ideas
based
of
on,
people
like,
just
one
basically...
big party right before Christmas.
Exactly. It's just a
Okay,
big party
I answered
before
my own
Christmas.
question.
You just answered it. It's like white guys and token black character doing big party on Christmas because they're like adults and they can't just do it like have fun with their family. They need to be like drunk and on drugs.
Well, there's like, again, like sort of a similar plot that we've seen before with other Christmas
But this
movies
one's a
of like, it kind of takes its inspiration of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt lost his family. And so he doesn't really have that kind of family to spend Christmas with. And he's been spending the night before Christmas with his friend Seth Rogen and that guy Anthony Mackie, I think his name is. They always spend like the night before the name of the movie, the night before Christmas together and like party. And this is the last year they're gonna do it because like now the other two of them have like families and they're like settling down. They're like, we can't do this anymore, so it's gonna like this big last Christmas bash. They're going all out.
Yep.
Seth Rogen is doing literally every single drug.
Yeah.
I mean, is it surprising that Seth Rogen is probably the best part of this movie?
No. It's funny that he's in it because he's Jewish.
But
they do
like,
touch
they
on
comment
that.
on it. Like they have him go into like church. He's really out of it, and he goes into like a Catholic mass.
his fiance is like family is like walking by while he's
Yeah.
tripping balls, and they're
It's-
like, would you like to come with us to mass? And he's like, oh boy, would I?
Yeah.
I've never been.
It's so good. Like there's a lot of like
There's a lot of fun.
There's a lot of fun moments. in
It's
it.
like sort of commenting on it because they're like, again, they're saying that they're getting too old to be doing this all
Yeah.
the time, and it actually has some layers to
Yeah,
that.
there's a
It's
lot
not
of, like,
just a
great
party movie for the
commentary.
sake of partying, which I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 bags.
I really liked it too. I thought like it's a fun. I gave it 3.5 bags. I thought it was fun. I liked a lot of the notes, but like how it still does it really fun. And also Miley Cyrus is in it, and she's absolutely slaying. So I want to give her a shout.
Montana.
I do love Hannah Montana. I want to give Miley a shout out for just being in this movie as herself.
Yeah,
She plays Miley Cyrus
and does drugs.
and does drugs, which is not off brand for her.
That's true.
Now we've got a newer movie. We're on the Holdovers, and it stars Paul Giamatti and newcomer Dominic Sessa and Divine Joy Randolph.
This movie has like a really interesting setup in that it's like a period piece, like a
it's
boys'
1970.
private school, and it's set with a bunch of characters who are like stuck spending their holiday break at the school.
They're the Holdovers.
you
So
know.
basically, like,
And
yeah, over Christmas break, they can't be with their family. They stay at the school. Paul Giamatti is like the professor that's there to like.
yeah, he's like
stay
the one
with
that
them.
drew the short end of the stick, and he's kind of an introvert too. He doesn't really have his own family to go to. Like he was gonna stay there anyway.
Yeah, and then there's also the chef
Yep.
who
Lost her
her
family.
son.
Yeah, her son used to go to that school, but then decided to volunteer in the Vietnam War.
So
yeah.
it's kind of just like this group of misfits.
Yeah, now that's like a really strong premise, and it's kind of interesting because a lot of these like rich kids have different backgrounds and they're very spoiled. And then like one of them's like, oh well, my father is only doing this because we got into a fight and he's gonna cave in. And then he does, and he like sends a private helicopter to the school, and with the permission of all the kids' parents, they're like, yeah, you can come to my mansion and we'll go skiing in my private helicopter and have a fun time.
Yeah.
Except for the main kid whose parents are like off doing their own honeymoon thing and kind of forgot to check in with him. So he's actually stuck there with Paul Giamatti and the chef, and it's just the three of them for like 80% of the movie.
I will say, I feel like this movie kind of sets up to...
It sets up a different movie and then becomes it's like...
It sets up something that is different than what it becomes, and it's slightly frustrating because I think the original like story that is setting up of like there's like this group, there's like 4, 5, 6 boys that are all stuck together in this school, and you kind of see them kind of like forming a bond even though like they're not they wouldn't probably have connected if it was just like, you know, they all went home for Christmas. Because they're kind of all bonding.
They're all
over,
from different social circles.
Yeah, and they're all bonding over.
And it feels
away.
like it's setting up a Breakfast Club type of thing. And then it just gives up on that idea.
Yeah, the kids all leaving only one kid, Dominic Sessa, like the main character, and Paul Giamatti. And then that kind of becomes its own thing.
And the
like,
rest of the
this
film
kid,
really revolves around, becomes about him. And it's like...
I think I find it really, really interesting, and I love the connection. Like, those two actors have such, like, a good chemistry, and I love the connection that they can form. But part of me still also was kind of missing the original story that was being set up.
I think my problem was, like, I felt the setup was more for, like, this Breakfast Club type situation, rather than for Dominic Sessa.
Sessa? Yeah.
Dominic Sessa. It, like, if the film set up more as Dominic Sessa to be the one main character, I feel like I would have been on board for that misdirect. But seeing as how, like, it kind of feels like we're still getting to know him along with the context of everyone else, it was like...
Yeah.
What makes him so special? The fact that his parent... Like, I guess that his parent didn't confirm that, but...
They kind of, like, go into it, and the more that you spend with these two characters, I feel like you kind of understand that, like, they...
No, and I really like their dynamic, but it's just, I also was, like, a little bit disappointed by the fact that it wasn't, like, a Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It was still a good time, and we did learn about these two characters, and Dominic Sessa's, like, backstory here was all very interesting and depressing for its own reason.
Angus Tully is his character name.
He lies and says his dad's dead when his dad isn't, and
there's a lot of really interesting, a
lot of stuff happens.
You kind of get to, like, see into the background of these characters and, like, what they are withholding, the information that they're lying about or withholding, like the front that they're putting on in order to be able to participate in this, like, private school kind of environment.
And, like, I liked it. There was definitely some moments that were more fun, but as a whole, it kind of had the same problem that Jack Frost did, where it's kind of slow and depressing, and it's like, I don't know if I'd want to watch this for Christmas time.
Yeah, it's definitely got, like, a very cold energy to it.
There is some moments of warmth, some very cozy handhold moments, but, like,
it takes a minute to get there.
Considering the ending, too.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a bittersweet, left salty, but sweet taste, you know?
Reminded me a lot of Dead Poet Society.
Yeah, it was very similar. Very, very on brand
similar,
to
which
Dead
is, like...
Poets. Which is, again, high praise.
Love that movie, but, like, it's... again, like, The Holdovers... It was a movie that took place during Christmas. There was a lot of, you know, the, like, warmth of, like, spending time with your found family and, like, getting through the times, but it was also, like, it's sad at times. It's like you're watching these people really struggle through the time, like the Christmas time without their family. Mm-hmm. You know, you're watching, like, Divine Joy Randolph, like, she's really struggling with celebrating Christmas without her husband and her son, and it's like, this is a very compelling story, but it's very sad, and sometimes it's hard to have those kinds of, like, really emotional moments in a Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. So this is one that I think is more like a movie that takes place during Christmas and not necessarily a Christmas film.
Yeah, but it's literally counts down the days to Christmas, and there's a Christmas day. So it's about people celebrating Christmas, and it's a Christmas movie. But
yeah,
I give it 3.5. It was still fine. It was still a good movie.
I gave it 4.5 because I really did enjoy it a lot, and I thought, like, the way that they made it a period piece worked so well with everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, average of 4 bags, not bad.
Yeah. Next up, we got Scrooged.
I don't even think I reviewed this.
This movie's great.
This is, everybody knows the tale of Ebenezer Scrooge and the ghosts of Christmas.
This is a modern adaptation of Ebenezer Scrooge.
When did it come out?
modern being 1988.
Modern for the times of 1988.
And I love it because it's such a good, because again, the 80s was a very capitalistic time, sort of like the Industrial Revolution. It was very, very, like, it's a good adaptation of this story, I think.
Yeah.
I especially like the era it's set in. It's a fun tile. And using Bill Murray as an Ebenezer Scrooge-like character is a perfect
Bill
casting.
Murray is so Ebenezer Scrooge.
I know, it's so good. And the reason you didn't pick it was because, like, the poster was, like,
poster's
hand-drawn
ugly.
and you hated his face on it. But, like,
No,
it's
he's just making an
so
ugly
good.
face in it.
It's so good.
I will judge a movie by its poster. And
Honestly,
if you're making an ugly face in
The
it, I'm
only
probably not
the
gonna
only
pick it.
critique I had of it was that I kind of wish that Bill Murray was like a CGI orange cat.
Ooh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, there's not really like a lot to say about this because it's really just like
It's true to form.
a retelling of the Christmas story. He gets visited by each of the ghosts, and through that, he kind of learns
the
that
error of his
he,
ways.
you know, maybe he's not being the nicest to his employees.
I forget what he even does.
I know, that's why I was looking at you. Like,
I think he's just like a celebrity.
Oh, I thought he like worked.
I don't think he has a factory or anything.
No, but
I
didn't
think
he
he's
have like
just,
an office? Like, didn't he? I thought he like worked in an office. That part doesn't
he's
really
a television
matter, guys.
executive.
That's what it is. I knew he was like some kind of some. So it doesn't really matter. But you know, like, because I remember he like it wants his like assistant to like work late or whatever.
Yeah,
She's
but he's
"It's
like
Christmas."
he's got like a celebrity status.
Yeah, it's a Christmas story with Bill Murray in it.
It's a modern version. It's fun.
Yeah.
I gave it
4
4.5.
bags. I gave it 3.5, so 4
Okay.
bags.
Next up.
We have my favorite Christmas movie, maybe
Rudolph?
favorite movie. We're on Elf.
Oh.
I am probably the biggest fan of this movie ever. I could quote this entire movie to you. I could just like sit down and recite all of the lines from it. I know that it might be cringe, but I love Elf, okay? I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I have some more appreciation for this film, having heard the story behind its production. I didn't really know it was Jon Favreau's directorial debut or anything like that. And like, you know, it's a fun movie and it does the job of what it's trying to do very well. I do think the worst part about this film is probably its fans. I'm not trying to say that as an insult, but I am saying that the people that obsess about Will Ferrell going like, ooh, syrup and spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's like you're missed the point. I feel
think
like
the fans of like being a fan of Elf to me gives like millennial cringe. Something about liking this movie is definitely like a little bit embarrassing, but you know what? On this podcast, I am being real with you guys, and I don't know, okay? This movie, it's good, okay? It's funny. It's gonna hit every single time. Watch this movie with somebody, and I guarantee you they will laugh at least a couple of times.
now see you say that, but don't watch this movie with an Elf fan because then you're never gonna laugh enough, and you're gonna feel like an old cynical Grinch who's way past the times when he can enjoy things, and you're gonna relate more to the guy trying to get his books published.
Not Walter.
What do you mean?
But yeah, I'm not always the biggest fan of Will Ferrell, and I think a lot of people like will brush off this movie because they're like, I don't like Will Ferrell. You know, he's like
That's what my family
annoying
does.
and
Yeah.
cringe. But like, I don't know, like something he has heart in this. Okay.
Yeah, this role is one of those roles that was made for Will Ferrell, it feels like.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I agree. I don't really like Will Ferrell either, but the film doesn't.
You can't lie.
Like Will
Yeah,
Ferrell.
you can't deny that he's.
Will Ferrell is just Will Ferrell in this world,
Yeah.
and he's an annoyance to the characters of the world just as much as he is you.
Yeah.
So it's like the film isn't endorsing that. It's just he plays it well.
Yeah.
So
5 bags.
I gave it 3, so it averaged out of 4.
I think, yeah. I think I'm not here to hate on anybody that doesn't love this movie. So
I like some elements of it a lot, like them going around New York and doing improv. I thought was kind of genius, but
yeah,
the like stop motion I thought was a little bit on the head.
the stop motion, it's
I don't know. And
It's
also,
so-
it adds a
it
lot of the
reminds me of Rankin
charm, and it
Bass. I
sets up
love
the
it.
thing, but also it's like, okay, but what's it saying about that? It's just, I don't know. I think it's fun, but I think I'm
The
old
best
and
way to
cynical.
spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
So next up, we got a new movie,
It
Klaus.
came out in 2019.
Yeah, but it's only 2020.
That's true. We've got a fun little animated film.
Yeah, honestly, this is it's fun. It's a good animation, and it's got a lot of fun story.
Yeah.
But most importantly, it's got Norm Macdonald in it.
You
who's-
love Norm Macdonald.
I love Norm Macdonald. He just plays a minor character, but he just does a great job. And the story is honestly really funny. It kind of originates a new proposed idea of a Santa myth. You know,
Yeah.
if you've seen Santa Claus is Coming to Town, you might know that version of Santa Claus, or you might know the Santa Claus murder trial by murder
Yeah.
Type Santa Claus. But this one proposes a new idea of like a mailman who's setting up a post office service in a town that doesn't really need one, and so to create that, he sort of creates the myth of Santa Claus to encourage kids
yeah.
to start writing letters.
He sort of like starts off doing this because his dad is like, I think it's like if you do this, you know,
If you get like 3,000 letters,
you
you
get
can
a
come
certain amount of
home.
like letters, then you'll get the family money. You know?
Yeah.
So he's working. He doesn't really want to be there, but he accidentally sort of like creates this idea of like, hey, write a letter to this guy Klaus, and he'll bring you a present. I felt like this movie, it was a really cute little take on like who is the guy, like the Santa Claus that's like behind making all of these gifts for children, you know?
Yeah, and I just like the new concept of like a new original origin myth of it, because it's
Yeah.
kind of fun. Because I remember the letters for Santa being a big thing.
Yeah, no,
And
it
like
was so fun.
in
And-
this digital age, its letters are kind of old and outdated, so it makes sense that they almost fit into the mythology of it all.
Yeah. And like I really liked the universe building of it all. Like I'm looking at all these like characters that they had.
Yeah, there's like a teacher, and like because the kids start writing more, they get more educated of the town, and the teacher starts teaching them
Yeah.
again, and it's a fun thing. It like
Yeah.
naturally makes you feel good.
And like, you know, it all's gonna come together with a nice little bow.
And Norm
a bunch of
Macdonald's in it.
lollipops.
I f***ing love that guy,
Norm
man.
Macdonald's
Rip,
good in
Rip King.
Next we have.
How many bags?
Oh, sorry.
4 bags I gave it.
We both gave it 4 bags.
Yeah. Next
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
this movie we really enjoyed and Letterboxd hates. This has a 2-star average.
We need to for context. This is a 1964 film.
And it feels like one of those films that was like made for TV. It's like 81 minutes, so it's not a very like cinematic experience.
Oh, absolutely it is though.
But it's very fun and is very of the time, and the title is very misleading. Let's say that.
It's not really Santa Claus who conquers the Martians.
The Martians
it's more
kinda just
Santa
pick him
Claus
up.
who gets abducted by the Martians.
Yeah, they just show up to the North Pole and they're like, hey, we've heard about you from your broadcasts on Earth, and we want you. Come make our planet happy.
Yeah, they basically are like, wait, all of our Martian kids are obsessed with Santa Claus. What's the hype about?
And so he's kind of like spreads Christmas to the Martians, and the Martians won't let him go, and
They're like, we need you on Mars.
it's a whole thing, but it's crazy, and it's so
It's
like
so-
60s space race
So
age.
practical. I mean, the Martians are just guys in
Wearing
little suits
green.
painted green.
It's
They've got
so good.
cardboard on their heads, like
The robot's like literally a cardboard box with like
tinfoil.
tinfoil
Like
and
it's so good. It's
everything
so,
about it's amazing.
like exactly what you want from like a low budget, silly, fun time Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't understand why this has
don't
such a
know.
low rating.
It's just because people don't know about it, I think. Because like it's such a fun movie for and it's so randomly different too. If you're one of those people who's like, all Christmas movies are the same, fucking watch this, bro.
No, actually, that's so true because this
Seriously.
is definitely one of those ones
This
that's
is-
unlike anything that was on this list.
And it's more
But
on
s-
brand
yeah.
thematically with a Christmas movie than something like Die Hard.
That's all I was just gonna say. But
It's literally not like oh, it's not even a Christmas movie. It's like it's a Christmas movie, but it's different, and it's weird.
And it's awesome.
It's fun, maybe a little bit slow, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I gave it 4.5.
Should we have the Die Hard? We didn't watch Die Hard, but should we have the debate? Our last 2 movies are
interchangeable.
Interchangeable.
They're both rated the same thing, and they're both by the same people.
These are the classic Rankin Bass.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Which one should we talk about first? Let's talk about
Santa Claus is coming to town. They're both fun. I like this one because it's like kind of like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in that there's like a German fascist dictatorship, sort of a guise for Hitler's Nazi regime, and they're no fun. And Santa Claus, aka Coca-Cola Company, comes in and saves the day, but then he gets put in jail, and then Love and his friends along the way bust him out. And...
So. This
it's fun. It's a
really
lot happens
great,
in that 51 minutes, okay?
It's a really great retelling of how Santa Claus came to be from
conveniently without the religion.
To end. Oh yeah. It's very much like he was a baby, this is why he makes toys. This is why he
was raised by elves and yeah.
This is why he's brings the toys.
It's just a coincidence. It looks good with the Coca-Cola packaging. He wasn't paid to wear red.
And it's all tied up in the. To me personally, the Rankin Bass animation, like claymation style, is Christmas.
Yep.
Like when I think Christmas movies, I see this exact claymation movie. Like. Something about it is so the vibe is just so perfect. I like it. I think this one was one that I always watched as a kid, and I always just loved that it really just like
I really
fully
always
explained.
Loved Year Without Santa the most.
Really?
But I always forget about it.
Mr. Heat Miser. I didn't watch this.
You gotta realize, me and my brother were the opposite elements.
Oh, so were you Heat?
Probably.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one as much, but I do think it's a very similar, very, very similar vibe. Like they're all pretty much interchangeable.
Yeah, they all kind of blend together in my head.
They all they all do. The other one we watched was Rudolph.
This one I kind of prefer a little bit more, mainly because it's like, again, it feels like a legitimate story. It came out a little bit later, a few years after Santa Claus is coming to town.
And again, like
it's still 50 minutes long.
Yeah, and it tells the story of Rudolph.
Yeah, up till then, Rudolph was like just a popular song.
Yeah.
This is what kind of cemented that. And hang on, can we just talk about Donner being Rudolph's dad?
Yeah. Okay. I've watched this so many times.
On Dasher, on Donner, on Blitzen, on Cupid, and Donner and Ditson and Boffin and Prancer and Bupid. No. Anyway, so I don't know, but it's like, so does that mean Rudolph is out there riding with his dad all these years? Like, I don't really know.
It's kind of sad. I don't know why. Like, I've watched this so many times as a kid, and I never really picked up on the fact that, like,
his dad just is like, oh god, you're a disappointment. Oh my god,
yeah.
Put this over your nose, you genetic abnormality. It's great. Yeah. And also, I love the vague sweatshop guys that this guy's like, I want to be a dentist. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
No. F*** you. Sorry, I shouldn't swear in the Christmas special.
Maybe not. The story of, being a misfit, not fitting in. It's so...
Oh, yeah.
It's so classic.
Yeah, the Isle of Misfits toys. I always forget about toys. It's a classic.
I used to have... Well, I still have, like, these little plush toys of each of the characters from this movie. And I just always, always, always loved them so much. And yeah, those were our 2 favorites. And I think you can't go wrong with a good Rankin Bass film during Christmas time.
Yeah. They're kind of
the GOAT.
Epitomal. I mean, did you expect anything else? Sorry.
Anyways, that's our Christmas movie
That's
list.
the Christmas special. Again, we fully meant to release this on 2023 Christmas, but yeah, we just didn't record it till January of 2024. So
yeah, we're coming to you actually a little bit from the past. If you're watching this in July, because it's January right now.
Oh, well, yeah, in the now it's January, but in the recording it's July.
Yeah, but if you're listening,
well, I exist as both.
Ah. Okay.
You have to think as an entity that
we hope
transcends
you guys.
time.
We hope you are enjoying your summer vacations, and
I hope you enjoyed this little jolly holly holiday.
And if you're thinking about how you miss winter too much, it's cold outside.
Listen to like the sniffle in my voice this whole time.
We're a little bit over the coldness, so
a little bit of that Christmas warmth is what we need.
Yeah, to bring our hearts to grow 3 sizes.
Speaking of growing 3 sizes, mash that subscribe button and milk the like button and leave a comment below.
So comment below what your favorite Christmas movie is. Everyone's got one.
Yep.
But anyways, thank you guys for watching. We love you
guys.
for checking us out, and we'll see you next week.